Welcome to Hard Choices, the podcast where we sneak into the forbidden, sulfur-scented caves hidden amongst flame-scoured mountain peaks and dig through the vast stores of treasure therein to discover what lies at the fabled heart of horniness. We'll unearth the median, zenith, and nadir. But really, this podcast is all about that moment where we realize that the immense reptilian master of this cave has spotted us, pins us beneath a giant hand, draws its face close to us, and declares that we look delectable. Yes, this week we are digging deep into the many corners and crevices of pop culture to examine what it means to love and fuck dragons. I'm your host, Dan Mulcairn. With me on this wonderfully ill-advised journey is Annie Creighton.
Hello, I'm here to fulfill basically the childhood dream, but much hornier.
Kit Mulcairn.
Dan, I don't have a stinger. The last 3 months have put me through it.
Yeah, it's true. Listen, all we need from you is just for you to be the tiny spoon to an enormous dragon spoon.
Can I just sob quietly into the mic?
No, I feel this.
And Meganbob.
So one of the first stories I ever wrote involved a lady who got knocked up by a fucking dragon, and the dragon was the best. Oh, this has been in my heart for such a long time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, clearly we're coming with some heat on this episode, y'all. Because this episode centers around that most epic, powerful, and weirdly sexual mythological creature, the dragon. We've put together a list of 21 dragons from across literature, television, film, video games, comic books, even webtoons and other podcasts, and we've ranked these dragons from most fuckable to least fuckable. We'll go through each of our lists, starting with everyone's median, our number 11, and make our way down the list until we hit rock bottom, the nadir, number 21. We'll then jump back up the list and make our way up through the top 10 until we finally reach the glory of the zenith, number 1. Along the way, we'll briefly be giving our reasoning for why we ranked these characters in the ways we did, but each host can call for up to 3 big feels if they'd like to go into more draconic-sized detail about their decisions. Once the lists have been revealed, we'll aggregate them together to create our final master list, but not before we take a moment to unpack the choices all of us have made along the way. As always, we must remind ourselves of the definition of fuckability. Meganbob, if you would be so kind as to do the honors.
I mean, it's never going to be as funny as Annie saying "Cumsplosion," but here we go.
Yeah, that's true. Stay tuned for the Hanna-Barbera Bad Choices episode for those of you who weren't there for the live show.
Oh, man. Some gold there. Fuckability is not about what they look like. It's about what they fuck like. So assume you are into them. They are into you. How good is the sex? And what is it like?
We're about ready to take flight into a world of flaming boners, but first, let us pay our respects at the dragon graveyard we know as honorable mentions.
Number 1, Devon and Cornwall from Quest for Camelot. Look, Quest for Camelot is something of an also-ran 90s animated film, and Devon and Cornwall, while not without their charms, are an also-ran comedy dragon. Those of you who are into goofy dragons, and or dragons with multiple heads, worry not. Our final version of the list has you well covered.
Number 2 is the Ender Dragon from Minecraft. None of us are especially into Minecraft, and this dude seems to be more or less a boss monster with no real personality to speak of, so, maybe not the most interesting character to talk about. Also, just really blocky, just angular, pointy, but not in like the sexy way, just pointy corners.
Number 3, any of the dragons from Dragon Riders of Pern. This seems like an oversight on our part, but shamefully, despite all of our claims to being lifelong dragon fuckers, none of us have read these books. I'm sorry. Feel free to write your local congressperson to have hard choices taken off the air for this grievous breach of listener trust.
Go listen to I Will Fight You's Dragon Riders of Pern episode. When the dragons fuck, you fuck!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 4, King Ghidorah from the Godzilla franchise. I'm gonna will a kaiju episode of this show into being if it kills me, Bob. And when I do, then I'll talk about fucking Ghidorah. So write your local congressperson to make a Hard Choices kaiju episode happen.
Number 5, Lord Dragonus from the Mighty Ducks cartoon. Look, we will always fuck a Tim Curry character. Except for Pennywise, obviously. Teeth! Ugh. But Disney themselves weren't interested enough in the Mighty Ducks cartoon to make a second season, so I feel like I don't need to be interested enough in this guy to put him on the list.
Number 6 is Sisu from Raya and the Last Dragon. This was a tough cut to make, but we tried to put together the most wide and varied list we could, and spoiler alert, we already have a wisecracking serpentine Disney dragon on the list, so Sisu just barely missed the final cut.
Sorry, Aquafina, I love you.
Sorry, Aquafina.
Number 7, Temeraire from the Temeraire series. Apparently, I'm the only one here who's read these books about what if the Napoleonic Wars had dragons. But that's fine. More Celestial Dragon for me.
I read most of the first one.
Okay, all right. Well, you can have some Celestial Dragon, Bob.
I've been
My
told about them
beneficence.
by Lucas. Does that count?
You can have some secondhand Celestial Dragon. Sure.
Hey!
Some cud, some chewed up.
some sloppy thirds.
It's not a no.
And lastly, number 8, Brimscythe from Critical Role. This is another cultural blind spot for us, and none of us are especially familiar with Critical Role or any of its associated media. Please don't drag us into the street and make us pay for the very valid crime of not keeping up with a massively popular piece of media, okay? Y'all, there's a lot of media, I don't know if you've noticed, and only 4 of us. And we chose to spend our short, precious human lives ogling the 21 dragons that did make it on this list.
And speaking of the 21 dragons that did make it on this list...
Number 1, Armand from the Russian film I Am Dragon. Take Beauty and the Beast and mix in a sprinkling of Twilight, and you end up with the story of Armand, a conflicted were-dragon who lives alone on an island until he is compelled to kidnap a young noblewoman on her wedding day. He proceeds to angst about it until she reveals that she loves him both as a dragon and as a shirtless Russian spearfisher.
Annie, the look of delight on your face during that entire summary.
It's a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Number 2, Bahamut from the Final Fantasy series. The perennial king of the dragons and a prominent recurring summon creature, Bahamut is powerful and arrogant, but willing to lend his might to those who prove themselves. Which is fine by us. We are perfectly willing to jump through whatever hoops we need to in order to experience that giga dick.
Number 3, Chronormu, aka Chromie from World of Warcraft. Chromie is a bronze dragon assigned male at birth, who adopted the form of a female gnome named Chromie when it came time to decide on a mortal guise. Chromie's position in the bronze dragon flight gives her magical powers over time itself, which she uses to help safeguard the timeline against those who would seek to change it. Ever wonder why you never see a Terminator in WoW? That's why.
Number 4, Draco from Dragonheart. The last of the dragons who develops a friendship with a jaded knight named Bowen. Draco made the mistake of sharing a piece of his heart with a real fucking Joffrey of a boy king, giving him immortality. In order to stop the king's tyranny, Bowen and Draco team up to utterly break my fucking heart. How dare this movie be so sad? I saw it when I was a kid and I've been sad ever since.
Number 5, Dragon from Shrek. Initially the dragon guarding the captive Princess Fiona, Dragon ends up joining the main cast after Donkey successfully woos her during a desperate bid to keep himself from being eaten. Despite this awkward start to their relationship, the two end up legitimately falling in love and having a whole clutch of cute/horrifying dragon-donkey hybrid children.
Number 6, Elliot from Pete's Dragon. An animated dragon living in a live-action world, Elliot befriends a young orphan boy named Pete in early 1900s Maine. Elliot is friendly and playful, and while he doesn't speak per se, he is very vocally expressive, so If your preferred version of pillow talk is weird purrs, clicks, and grunts, we got the dragon for you. I don't know why my voice just sort of scratched the fuck up at the end of that.
It was like weirdly old-timey.
Yeah,
That was like some Phyllis Diller stuff.
Number 7, Falkor from The Neverending Story. A luck dragon who assists the young hero Atreyu on his journey across Fantasia. Falkor is wise, gentle, and hopeful, although he's not above chasing a trio of teenage assholes into actual literal garbage. The mark of true wisdom.
Number 8, Fin Fang Foom from Marvel Comics. A shape-shifting alien conqueror who slumbered in China for centuries until he was awakened and proceeded to fight Iron Man on multiple occasions in various bids to take over the world. You know, comics. Having been in comics since the 60s, Fin Fang Foom has gone through many phases, usually a supervillain, sometimes a kaiju, and once a human-sized chef serving Chinese food to the Fantastic Four. Definitely one of the better LinkedIn profiles.
Number 9, Hiram McDaniels from Welcome to Night Vale, a literal 5-headed dragon who has been, at times, a blogger, a mayoral candidate, a would-be assassin, a fugitive, and a death row inmate. Each of his heads has a wildly different voice, personality, and values, but all of them are at least a little bit sleazy.
Number 10, HR Puffinstuff from the show of the same name. The cheerful and helpful mayor of the appropriately named Living Island, a place where otherwise inanimate objects are sapient and capable of speech and movement. Sounds like a living nightmare to me, but, Mayor Puffinstuff seems pretty cheerful about it, which suggests he's either made of sterner stuff than we are, or is an even bigger pervert than we are.
Number 11, Mushu from the Disney movie Mulan. A former guardian spirit demoted to incense burner and gong ringer after failing to protect a past charge, Mushu takes it upon himself to serve as Mulan's guardian in order to regain his past status. Mushu is fast-talking and wisecracking, impulsive and reckless, but is ultimately shown to have a good heart.
Number 12, Parthenax from Skyrim. He once helped the evil dragon Alduin wage war against humankind, but then betrayed Alduin and contributed to the founding of the Greybeards, humans who study draconic magic. Parthenax has given up his warlike ways and is content to live in seclusion and meditation atop a massive mountain. No Netflix, only chill.
Number 13, Ridley from Metroid. A sadistic space pirate who regularly comes into conflict with power-suited bounty hunter Samus Aran. Ridley is bloodthirsty, devious, and seemingly unkillable, always returning for more no matter how many times Samus blasts his ass to dust. She's not interested, Ridley. Take the hint!
Number 14, Saphira from the Inheritance trilogy. A young dragon bound to Aragon Shadeslayer, the first dragon rider to be born in a century. Saphira is somewhat arrogant, taking great pride in both her power and her beauty, but is warm and friendly to those she trusts and cares for. Voiced by Rachel Weisz in the Aragon films, which automatically makes her hard choice as royalty. Hello, Rachel. Hello. Hi.
Number 15, Seath the Scaleless from Dark Souls. An albino dragon born without the immortality-granting scales of his kind, Seath turned against his fellow dragons and helped Gwyn and the other lords conquer the world. In the centuries that followed, Seath threw himself into a mad quest for the immortality denied to him by his birth, delving into forbidden sorceries and wild experiments, eventually falling into insanity. Much like I nearly did on my first attempt at playing Dark Souls.
Nearly. I was there.
Yeah,
Nearly,
you were.
buddy. Number 16, Shenron from Dragon Ball. An eternal dragon who will appear to anyone who collects the 7 Dragon Balls in order to grant them a single wish. Okay, but can we talk about subclauses to these wishes? Because if you've listened to this podcast, you should know when it comes to fantasies, we got a list.
Number 17, Shyvana from League of Legends. Hatched from a dragon egg but raised by a human, Shyvana is capable of assuming either form, but finds that she belongs fully to neither world. She now serves the human prince Jarvan IV as part of his royal guard, but she's still not fully trusted, even by those she serves alongside. Also, as of the writing of this description, her jungle build currently has a 49.6% win rate and a 1.7% pick rate in Emerald Plus, and is currently ranked B tier. So, if that does it for you, then sign up.
Number 18, Smaug from The Hobbit. The last great dragon of Middle-earth, Smaug is best known for kicking the dwarves out of their home in the Lonely Mountain and sleeping atop their collected treasures for almost 200 years before finally getting got by a low-level archer thanks to an assist by a bird. Shot through the heart and bards to blade!
Yeah!
Number 19, Tiamat from Dungeons & Dragons. The five-headed god queen of evil dragons, Tiamat doesn't let little things like being imprisoned in hell stop her from making audacious, destructive bids for power over the D&D multiverse. Whereas if I have to make a single trip to Walgreens, I basically have to lie down for the rest of the day. I think that's the one and only reason I'm not god queen of evil dragons.
Number 20, Villain Trettenmirth, also known as Borch Three Jackdaws from The Witcher. A gold dragon who travels the land in the guise of a wandering human knight, he is fascinated by humans and seems to prefer their company to those of other dragons, even taking his 2 human bodyguards as lovers. Within the setting, his name translates to 3 black birds, which is not relevant to any of the other hosts, but associating with birds always knocks a character up in my rankings just on principle.
Number 21, Trogdor from Homestar Runner. When Strongbad received an email asking for a demonstration of his artistic skills, he responded by drawing Trogdor the Burninator, a green S-shaped dragon with an enormous muscular arm growing out of the back of his neck. What was intended to be a one-off joke kind of snowballed from there, with Trogdor becoming the villain of multiple video games and getting his own fully produced heavy metal theme song. And look, I don't care how famous he is. I just want to see him consummate my V.
All right, that is more than enough foreplay. Let's get into these dragons in every way possible, starting with the medians. Annie, please start us off. Who do you have at number 11?
My number 11 is Falkor from Neverending Story. Falkor the Luck Dragon. Listen, let me tell you how that goes. We're up all night to the sun. We're up all night to get some. We're up all night for good fun. We're up all night to get lucky. 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 We're up all night. We're up all night to fuck. Is what I'm getting at here. The Luck Dragon. We bang.
Wow. So rarely does a musical expression rank just kind of middle of the list, but you know.
Indeed.
That's where we're at. My number 11 is Parthenax, and in a highly irregular move, this is one of my big feels.
Whoa.
Okay.
And it's because I went back and forth on this guy quite a bit as I was trying to rank him. Like, he's a few thousand years past his prime, but like dragons also age considerably more gracefully than humans do. So like, I'm not as concerned about the, physical limitations. He has settled into a more like stoic and monastic lifestyle. And normally I'd be like, well, his younger, more fiery and passionate version would probably be like the better fuck. This is a dragon we're talking about. So maybe like having sex with one who knows how and when to pull back is a better long-term investment for me vis-a-vis my physical well-being. And then I was like, well, what would tantric sex with a dragon be like? And then I was like, oh, but dragons have much, much longer lifespans than humans do. And so, human tantric sex might take like a few hours probably. So does dragon sex take like years to build up to one orgasm? Like, can any single orgasm be worth quitting my job and telling my friends and family not to text or call me until 2029? So yeah, I got a little lost in the sauce pondering this question, but it's all to say, I think it'd be pretty good. Kit, who do you have at number 11?
Elliot from Pete's Dragon. There's a kink for being fucked by something you can't see, right? What's that called?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've read some of that.
Yeah. Because I think that's part of the appeal of ghost fucking, especially if the invisible beast fucking you can also lift you into the air.
Yeah.
Elliot brings some comparatively unique kinks to the list. However, though his heart's in the right place, he's not especially obedient and he's pretty mischievous. Fucking Elliot might be more like fucking a silly poltergeist than a sexy ghost. And if that's your thing, work. Someone's gotta fuck those poltergeists.
I think it's called a poltergasm.
I wouldn't know. That's you. You can fuck that poltergeist.
I guess, yeah. I'll let you know.
Hey, these poltergeists ain't gonna fuck themselves.
Meganbob, who do you have at number 11?
HR Puffin stuff?
Wow.
Okay.
That's really high.
Look,
That's extremely hot.
no,
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing. This has to presuppose a world in which I'm not actively horrified, because I will tell you, I didn't know who this motherfucker was. I Googled HR Puffin stuff, and I may not come again for a fucking month.
Mhm.
And that was just based on the costume. I was too much of a fucking coward to listen to the voice. But that means I didn't give the character a fair chance. So here I am, in vain, I guess, trying to not completely fuck up the rankings by putting this mind fuck at the median, because I don't know, I guess it's possible. It's not the kind of thing that happens when you take bad acid. Granted, I'm extremely skeptical that it's anything other than a bad trip, but I can accept that it's a possibility.
I'll have more to say about him
Oh, Puffin stuff.
pretty soon here. All right, that moves us on to our number 12s. I will start. My number 12 is Draco. I like Draco as a character, but for me, a lot of the appeal of a dragon fuck comes from feeling as though you have this connection with a creature who's like a little bit godlike, a little bit beyond the scope of your normal perspective and experience. And like Draco is large and powerful physically, but like personality-wise, he's kind of a normal guy, right? Like he's a good guy, and I'm sure the sex with him is like perfectly fine to pretty great, but I gotta make room on this list for the absolutely phenomenal. Wow. Kit, you're number 12.
Parthenax from Skyrim. The Peepum's energy is strong with this one. You cannot tell me he doesn't sleep on a horde of Werther's originals. You cannot. I think the kink...
Yeah.
You're seeing it so clearly in your minds, huh?
They're even like kind of gold wrappers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think the kinkiest this dude gets is he'll want you to use the shouts you've collected on him. And I'm not much of a screamer, so I don't think it's going to work.
Meganbob, who's your 12?
Elliot. On the one hand, he's the guardian of children in abusive situations, which I am very supportive of. Am I so supportive of it that it's going to make sex with a non-talking giant dragon good? No, I don't think it is. Look, I too don't use words during sex, preferring to communicate in gasps and whines. But like, one of us probably has to be able to definitely understand the other. And I feel like that ain't going to be the case here.
Okay, Annie, that just leaves you. Who do you have at 12?
It's Trogdor.
Whoa.
Look, he's got that one beefy arm, and I have gone on the record as being someone who very much likes arms, but he's only got the one, and I just feel like even if he consummates my V, which I did have in my joke before we read it out loud, I feel like he's going to be way too busy burninating peasants, the countryside. Plus, sometimes he's a man, like just a man. Sometimes he's like a dragon man. Sometimes he's just a full dragon. I need him to make up his mind.
Okay, moving on to our number 13s, starting with Kit.
Dragon from Shrek. I enjoy a soupçon of danger as much as the next monster fucker, but I think Dragon is volatile enough that I'm going to have to be fast-talking and placating like Donkey in order to keep her interested in fucking instead of Vor.
Your line about Vor has been well established on the show. Meganbob, who is your 13?
Crummy. Oh my God, she's so cute and determined and steadfast. And I think we could have a good time. I'm kind of clueless about what that good time could be because I don't think I fully understand World of Warcraft enough to know anything. but I've never been able to have sex with someone who's tinier than me, but could also kill me if she really wanted to. So there's definitely some dark chocolate in this chocolate chip cookie. But also, is this gonna be her first chance to see a human naked? Because I don't want to answer questions about my body, and I feel like there are gonna be questions asked, which is not gonna be a fucking turn on.
I have good news, Bob. She's definitely seen your naked body before because she's a Time Lord.
Oh, wow.
She just might not remember if this is, hello, welcome to your body, or is this the first time for you?
This is a real this or that, and I like neither.
Next up is Annie. Who do you have at 13?
Tiamat. On the one hand, eternal damnation from the personification of ultimate evil.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, 5 tongues.
Oh.
Okay. Very succinct. Very impressive. My number 13 is Ridley.
Wow.
Ridley is a little bit of a Starscream, in my opinion. Like, you know, he's one of those villains who, like, he's perfectly competent in his own merits, but he's nevertheless attempting to punch way above his weight class. Like, I do think he's a more competent version of Starscream, which paradoxically makes him both less likable and more fuckable.
Wow.
Ridley will see fucking you as a way for him to express his own superiority over you, which is like the base of the pyramid on his hierarchy of needs. But, you know, at the same time, the dude can get really sadistic at times, and something tells me he's doesn't especially care for safe words. Moving on now to number 14, starting with Meganbob.
Armand. Man, I bet he's going to think it's weird that I want to have sex with him while he's in dragon mode. That's going to be a buzzkill. It's not that I couldn't do the work to change his mind, but like, is that going to happen without committing to loving him forever? I don't think so. I suspect that I'm in for a night with a sad, lanky man, not the hot dragon cock I was after.
What? I don't understand. You win by twice. I don't. What?
What's not to like?
What?
Opposite end of the bar.
Annie, who is your 14?
Mushu. If I had a nickel for every time I had to consider Eddie Murphy when I thought about having sex with fictional dragons for this episode, I've had 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Wow, you're right. Holy shit. How did I not realize that?
Wait, who's the other one? I don't even know.
Dragon.
Dragon and donkey.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I just
He's
also
so good.
I also don't think it would be great sex because for once the size difference is not really working for me, and I like to be the small one with the big wife or dragon or husband, you know, whatever gender. I mean, he does do the tongue thing. He says he won't, but he will.
Yeah.
And I would try that out at least once, provided we're not talking about Mulan 2 Mushu, where it's a white guy pretending to be Eddie Murphy, pretending to be a Chinese dragon.
Wowzers.
Bad news bears.
My number 14 is Mushu from Mulan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah!
Huh, high five. So, unfortunately, he said he doesn't do that tongue thing, and I'm going to take him on that. But he is travel size for your convenience.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Not sure what exactly that convenience is if he doesn't do that tongue thing, though.
My number 14 is also Mushu.
Oh, wow.
Well, there it is.
Yep. He's a real mixed bag for me. Like, you know, he's fun and he's funny, and I'm sure I enjoy spending time with him. But at the same time, he's so insecure, and he wants so desperately to prove himself, despite his tendency to immediately give in to some very misguided impulses and instincts. I think overall, my time with him would be good, but it would be like a lot of course correcting. You know, I'd have to keep reminding him, dude, you can just relax. You don't have to keep proving yourself to me.
Oh.
All right, moving on now to number 15. Bob, would you start us off, please?
Number 15 for me is Falcor. It's going to be both schmaltzy and creepy at the same time. I presume I'm high and drunk at the time because I failed to see how I would walk towards that face with lust in my veins under any other circumstances. But, like, yikes. Also, I get the distinct feeling that he's going to be condescending, but not think that he's being condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that. I want my dragons openly scornful of me or not at all.
Bob, my number 15 is also Falcor.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right, Bob. I don't know what it is, but I feel like anything that Falcor did to you that was physically pleasurable would be accompanied by this smug I told you so attitude.
Yes.
Like, is the sex good? Yes. Like, he's a powerful dragon. He understands. He cares about humans. But, like, sex is a two-way street, and I just don't feel good about a situation where, like, the most that I can provide someone is a quiet and largely unnecessary confirmation about their own sexual prowess.
He would do a sensible chuckle.
The worst. Kit, who's your 15?
Trogdor from Homestar Runner. It's right there in the song. Trogdor comes in the night. Thankfully, there's a cream to help with the burninating.
And Annie, your 15.
Speaking of it being right there in the song, my 15 is HR Puffin stuff. Look, he's your friend when things get rough. He can't do a little, because he can't do enough, and I appreciate that about him. But also, he looks like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Oh, the 60s. The
More
70s.
on that later.
There was a decade where we had problems with our television.
When we put him on the list, I did not know what he looked like.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like, oh,
what an adventure that must have been for you.
Oh.
Okay, moving on now to number 16. Kit, who is your 16?
Hiram McDaniels from Welcome to Night Vale. I can only imagine this would be like a 6-person orgy, but 5 of those people aren't going to fuck each other, and they aren't really going to fuck you for most of it either because they can't agree on how to go about it. I'm pretty sure I'll be eaten before I even get to being eaten out.
My number 16 is Trogdor. You know, the dragon fuck fantasy writ large is not a million miles away from the 50 Shades of Grey fantasy, you know, where like you as a lowly normie are handpicked by someone who's vastly more powerful than you to be led into this world of wonder and pleasure. But in order for that fantasy to fully hit, the billionaire/dragon needs to have enough of a degree of self-awareness about that power difference between the two of you that, like, they understand it, you know, they can kind of revel in it, they can recognize that to a degree they're letting you into their world as an act of generosity because they believe that you are worth it. And I just think Trogdor does not have that level of self-awareness. We've really only seen him as a creature of destruction, you know, just burninating whatever comes into his path. And fucking him is like fucking a natural disaster. And while I'm sure the experience will be intense, you're missing out on a lot of the interesting power plays that are really at the heart of like the best dragon fucks. Annie, who's your 16?
My 16 is also Hiram McDaniels.
Mm.
On the one hand, a blogger and a politician with a lot of heads that would probably all disagree on how best to have sex with you. On the other hand, 5 tongues.
And Bob, your 16?
Never not true.
Ridley. He seems kind of IDK, desperate for attention. I feel like he's going to be fucking me, and it could be so good. And then suddenly I'm going to look behind me and he's on his phone. I'm fucking someone else, Samus. How does that make you feel? And it's like, what the? At least wait until I'm in the bathroom, bruh. Have some motherfucking decorum.
Are we on to 17s?
We are on to 17.
All right.
Do you have something you'd like to share with the class?
I do. My 17 is Ridley from the Metroid games. Yeah. I know he's a pirate, but I don't think he's the fun kind. Yo ho, get your ass out of there. You in danger, girl. This one is evil.
My number 17 is Elliot. I think Elliot fucks the same way he does virtually any physical task, which is to say, enthusiastically and clumsily. You know, normally any fuck that leaves your bedroom a mess of broken furniture is pretty damn good, But Elliot proves you can have a solid C- D+ fuck that still necessitates an emergency trip to IKEA afterwards. Annie, your number 17?
It is Parthenax. Parthenax, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I've never actually played Skyrim, which at this point is less of like an achievement and more of just kind of a statistical anomaly because it's on everything and it keeps coming out. But the wiki pages I'm reading for this guy have a few key phrases that jump out at me. Old, seclusion, unspeakable atrocities against mankind. So this is like a war dragon peepums. In that case, I'm going to say probably not on account of the peepums and also because it doesn't matter how many times you say dragon. There are 2 legs, not 4, and that means it's a wyvern. You're just wrong. And I'm going to have to say that at least once on this episode and let it go for the rest of the time.
Oh, yeah, I know. If you're going to draw that line, there's a couple more that you can cut out from here for sure.
I think we're going to have to get into it in Let's Unpack This or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, put a pin in that.
But it's also not a complete no because, well, maybe I want to make the dragon come so hard he shouts a magic word that destroys a mountain or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But also he's a grandpa.
Meganbob, your number 17?
Trogdor. I wrote this and I'm going to say it, even though I hate that I wrote it. His song is a bop, comma, this fuck is a flop, period.
Wow.
I know. Look, I was pleased whenever I was like, that's lyrical. I like it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This
is the kind of genius that carries this show forward.
Exactly.
He seems like a real takes his work home with him kind of guy. Like, even if he's fucking me, is he actually going to be thinking about that? Or is he going to be thinking about burninating? He's going to be thinking about burninating. Also, he's only got the one arm, and I don't care how beefy it is. I'm going to have to be on top some of the time, and I'm a lazy bitch. I only get on top for top-notch dick, and this ain't it. Now. The day that we get incredibly drunk in the privacy of our own homes and rank the Homestar Runnerverse, I will have other spicier thoughts, but it is not this day.
All right. Those were our 17s. We are moving on now to 18, that is how numbers work. Annie, you're 18.
My number 18 is Saphira. Honestly, I don't know how Star Wars plus Dragons equals something this bland, but I'm sorry, Saphira. I got nothing. This is the blandest dragon. It's probably not bad sex, but it's probably not good sex either. And you'll have this feeling afterwards that maybe midichlorians aren't all that irritating as a concept.
Bob, you're 18.
Shyvana. She has the most basic backstory of torn between two worlds trademark. And I can't imagine that she's had a ton of sex, so I guess I'm in for a somewhat cringy, I don't know how to feel about this fuck, where she's got some element of self-recrimination baked in. You know that awkward face that Kermit makes sometimes? Yeah, that one. That feeling.
Mm-hmm. Kit, you're 18.
Tiamat from D&D. Girl, you in danger, girl. Tiamat is an evil goddess who hates mortals. Why is she fucking you? You think it's because you're special? Who do you think you are seducing a deity? Gale? No, I would never insult you by likening you to Gale. Don't worry. You're better than that. Tiamat will take what she wants with no regard for you, and then you're gonna die. Like, why bother? Just stick my ass in a Chozo suit and send me to Ridley if that's how it's gonna be. My boner would rather take its chances with a pirate pterodactyl.
And that just leaves me with my number 18. And I apologize in advance to my co-host for this, to a couple of my co-hosts in particular for this. My number 18 is Armand.
Okay.
And it is a big feels. This dude could not be more of an idealized romantic interest if he tried. And while I understand the appeal, it is not necessarily one that does anything for me personally. More critically, more on topic for this show, it is not a character type that I think leads to good sex. I am assuming here a situation similar to what happens to Miroslava in the film, where he's taking you to his lair, he's alternating between draconic rage and teenage angst the whole time until you break down his walls and you show him, no, you love him because he's a giant flame lizard. And then at that point, you finally use his giant bone island for what its name would seem to indicate it was intended for. And you realize you've just committed yourself to sex with someone who is not only a giga virgin, but who has no fundamental idea, like, how human bodies work, what pleasure is like for himself or other people, anything. Like, now, I get there's a whole slew of romance stories out there, you know, about teaching the delicate monster the ways of love. But if the question is, does this dude make fuck good? The answer is a resounding no. He won't make fuck good for a long, long time.
You just wait, Dan.
Oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. All right, we're on to our number 19s. The bottom three. Annie, who is your 19?
It's the one I can't pronounce from The Witcher.
Uh-huh.
Borch.
Yeah, you can just call him Borch.
Borch, my three burps.
Borch. Yeah, that's a much better mouthfeel. Borch.
Borch.
Look, he's a shapeshifter. I appreciate that, but also the shape he shifts to is into peepums.
Kit, you're 19?
This is a big feels. My 19 is Seath the Scaleless from Dark Souls. This dude is like if you drained all the charisma and raw sexual energy out of Nicol Bolas. I can't even imagine this dragon wanting to fuck you. He's so just that nothing. He's gonna kidnap you, but goes straight to doing some magical experiment that fails and turns you into a squid snake, seemingly forever, which is rude. When Nicol Bolas fucks you as part of his nefarious plans, at least you feel special. Like he needed you. Like you were an important piece to his evil puzzle. I'm so glad we're getting Seath out of the way, because now you don't even have to waste a slot on his mid-ass when you're building the Hard Choices Dark Souls list.
Meow.
Which is coming, if I have anything to say about it. My number 19 is also Seath the Scaleless.
Oh, yay!
Sex with Seath is a real roll of the dice, but it's a roll of the dice in which most of the possible results are bad to terrifying. Your best case scenario is that you get Seath to focus on you for long enough that he can go all like Pinhead from Hellraiser with you. You know, I have such wonders to show you, all that stuff. But the dude's mind is so warped and fractured by this point that I think you'd get partway into a sexual encounter before he'd be like, you know what would really turn me on? If you'd let me turn you into a weird snake monster. Or if you let me imprison you in a crystal golem for 300 years. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Meganbob, you are number 19.
Saphira.
Wow.
Hey, listener, I want you to go Google a picture of Aragon Shadeslayer, the guy she bonded herself to. Go Google it right now. Just take a second. Look at this teenager. This absolute baby neckbeard scrub. I haven't read the books, and I ain't gonna. But just know, if this is the kind of taste she has, it doesn't matter how into me she is, or indeed how into her I am. I'm gonna have to ask myself, am I an Aragon?
Oh, no.
I don't think she can give me an orgasm powerful enough to wipe that fear from my mind.
Okay, those were our 19s. Now it's time for our 20s. I will start off. My number 20 is Hiram McDaniels. I can get down with a certain amount of sleaze in a character, but Hiram is a politician. The least sexy type of sleazy.
Yep.
Similarly, I'm not opposed to the idea of having a sexual encounter with a character who is essentially a one-man orgy, but all of Hiram's personalities are obnoxious, cartoonish, and often seek to undermine each other. So how is the sex? It is not worth the endless arguing and infighting I had to witness Hiram doing to and with himself the whole time. Bob, you're 20.
Seath the Scaleless. Seems real extra. Like the kind of guy that's going to ask if he can store a virgin or a corpse, or both, in the trunk of your car.
Oh, God.
There is no dick that is good enough to deal with that kind of hassle. I don't want you pounding me and muttering about your magical bullshit. Motherfucker, go jerk off onto your scrolls if you love magic so fucking much.
He does.
Yeah, he would too. He'd be like, oh, that's a good idea. Be like, all right.
Maybe that'll get me immortality. Annie, you're 20.
It's Elliot. Look, I don't trust any dragon that only operates in 2 dimensions and is largely a result of practical effects trickery. You don't have sex with Elliot. You roll around in the sheets while some stagehand shakes the bed frame and tosses some pillows in the air. And afterwards, some schoolmarm or lighthouse keeper bursts into the room to sing a merry little song about how you definitely just fucked a dragon. For real, we promise. Just work with us here.
Oh my God, you're right. There would be a fucking song.
There would be a really shitty song.
It's really bad. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay,
There's
I gotta
so
move him
many
down.
bad songs in Pete's Dragon.
I gotta move him down to 20.
Well, unfortunately, your final list is in, Kit, and Elliot is not your number 20. Who is your number 20?
Well, also worthy of being here. Falcor from Neverending Story. Here's what's up. He asked Atreyu to scratch behind his ear for him. His neck should have been plenty long enough to crane closer to his own paw so he could scratch his own damn ear. I noticed the little things. Best case scenario, he's a peepums who just doesn't have the flexibility and stamina that he used to, so this may be the most vanilla a dragon fuck gets, which, is inherently a more interesting kind of vanilla. Like vanilla ice cream with the real bean flecks, I'll give it that. Worst case scenario, he's a manipulative pervert. So sorry to ruin your childhoods, everybody. Let's just say it's a vanilla with the bean flex situation. Still, I don't think this luck dragon's getting lucky with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here we are, the bottom of the list. Number 21. Kit, who's your number 21?
It's HR Puffin stuff from My Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he didn't have those Ron DeSantis ass white boots,
Oh no!
he would still land on the bottom of my list. The amount of alcohol I would have to consume to find out his fuckability would kill me. And that can't happen because we have to do a kaiju episode right to your local congressperson.
My number 21 is also HR Puffin stuff.
Hey!
I try to be objective on this show. I really do. I
Yeah,
try
You do.
not to let my personal tastes come into my rankings too much, but the thought of having that giant McDonald's land ass face looking at me with those googly eyes whirling around makes me honestly unsure if erections are ever going to be on the menu for me ever again. He is so unfuckable to me that I feel like any sex I have from here on out is going to be worse because I know that I am sharing the planet with the real life costume of HR Puffin stuff.
We have to destroy them all. We have to. Like phylacteries.
It's too important.
We have to destroy
Like
them all.
old Chuck E. Cheese suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
If there was a Five
You're
Nights
right.
at Freddy's with HR Puffin stuff,
He's got those like droopy eyes too, where you get the sense that he does those like weird tear streaks like dogs sometimes do.
Yeah. I was one of the episodes I was watching. The only one.
One of them?
The only one.
Man,
no,
you're
the only
so
one. The only
brave.
One. I know. I don't even think I finished it. I was like, I understand this, and I stopped. One of the eyes wasn't moving, and the other one was swinging. Like, what? Y'all, can you stop production and fix that, please?
There's a whole generation of adults right now who grew up watching that.
Explains a lot.
The other thing, it's one of those shows from the 60s where they just put a blatantly canned laugh track in whatever the hell they wanted. If that was playing in the background, it's so much worse. So much worse. All right, Bob, who's your 21?
Tiamat. What a goddamn evil motherfucker. Like just the evilest. What do you want from me, lady? You want all of me? Baby, I don't even have all of me. I can't be here for your shit. This sex is going to be toxic, but not even fun. She's going to be demanding, obviously, but also like hateful in how she deals with me, which, gross. Especially since she's going to look down on me for not being evil, which is how she prefers her clerics, etc. I'm not that kind of cleric, ma'am. I only give blowjobs that heal the weary traveler and lull them to sleep that restores plus 25 hit points. And if you at home fucking scoffed at me, how dare you fucking scoff? I have goddamn receipts.
And Annie, you're number 21.
Dragon from Shrek. Like,
oh, wow.
I respect that this dragon is absolutely down to clown for interspecies intercourse. That's important, but I don't want to have to spelunk through that pussy the way that Donkey must have to. Every single time. Just go on a little... I would have to follow the same route Donkey follows. Just go on, a merry little quest to just sort of like, I don't know, get myself off or something.
Just tie a rope.
Jesus.
Just tie a rope. Just a couple of tugs. Maybe give myself a nice flared base.
My God, but Donkey, she's got to have hair up in there all the fucking time.
Oh, God. Much. It's just, I recognize that there are a lot of furries and or vor fetishists who are all about that life, but it's just not for me.
All right, well, that was a rough bottom of the list, so let's pass out some cooling lube and maybe see about setting some of these broken bones before we move gratefully and joyously to the top half of our lists, starting with our number 10s. Meganbob, who is your number 10?
Hiram McDaniels. I think the sex here would be like extremely confusing. I love a sleazy fuck. I love a sleazy fuck. Hashtag justice for Zoot. Go visit the Muppets episode. But I can't fuck 5 different people at the same time. I mean, I say I can't. Obviously I can. But the good thing about fucking 5 different people at the same time is usually they've got a really like solid agreement about what the situation is. This is 5 different heads sharing, presumably, 1 dick and 1 me. You know what I don't want during sex? Backseat driving. Imagine backseat driving by 4 other people. I cannot begin to imagine the special hell that it is to fuck Hiram McDaniels. And believe me, I would love to fuck him. But there is no world in which it is anything other than a social anxiety nightmare.
Okay, Kit, your 10.
Saphira from Aragon.
Oh, hey.
Or,
Okay.
Inheritance. Whatever you pick. Jeremy Irons said it best. Muscular, graceful proportions, talons, nicely curved. She's a pretty dragon, and she knows it. If Saphira cares about you, she'll take care of you. But as, like she said herself, only her voice is gentle. Ever. She's very proud and does not take rejection well. So if you're not looking for anything long-term, and I know you're not, Bob, good luck getting away with unroasted ass cheeks. You better run fast toward a body of water.
My number 10, first time this character's appearing on the list, is Smaug.
Oh, hey.
I alluded to this earlier, but I feel like the core fantasy of fucking a dragon is being at the mercy of a powerful being who is capable of literally destroying you, but who has opted instead to only, figuratively, sexually destroy you. The fantasy is, being spread out over a vast bed of gold and jewels in a big old cave, while this massive creature lowers itself toward you with predation and lust gleaming in its eyes. And if that's the bar, that's Smaug. Like, in the same way that The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings basically defined what Western fantasy would be going forward, so did Smaug define our default conception of dragons, and therefore our default conception of dragon fucking. Like, I don't really think there's that much more to say about the guy. He's about as close to a standard dragon fuck as you can get. You know, he's big, he's powerful, he's kind of a jerk, he likes to lord his power over you. If that's your thing, you're gonna have a good time. Wow. Annie, you're number 10.
Hi, guys. It's Ridley.
Yes!
Look,
Yes!
look. This space dragon can fuck me so hard, I lose the ability to use my morph ball. And he always comes back for more.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he's a robot. Sometimes he's got a cyber cock. It's a monster fuck and a robot fuck in the same one. And he's an alien. And he's got all these mantis guys that just like work for him. And they love tubes. You just have to make sure that you can translate them loving tubes to loving lubes.
Girl, you in danger.
I'm in danger.
He is gonna request that you roll yourself up into an anatomically impossible ball at some point. But you know, cross that bridge when you get to it.
Also, maybe Samus shows up in the middle of it to do his boss fight, and then she kills Ridley, and then hello, hi. Do you need to take a breather? do you need to? You look really hot in that. Do you need to take? You can keep the helmet on.
Yeah.
Wow. The silver lining you have found with this fuck, Annie. Incredible.
Nice.
All right, Kit, you're number 9.
Bahamut from Final Fantasy. I'll be realistic. His dick is probably as big as I am. And there is definitely no aftercare because he's just going to unsummon as soon as he comes. But I would still be happy to just try to fit that mega flare into my mouth.
Wow. My number 9 is Saphira.
Oh.
I think there's a tremendously good fucking Saphira. Like, she's usually characterized as being essentially like a carnivorous animal, but with human intelligence, which to me suggests that she's all animal instinct and physical impulse with no real hang-ups to speak of. I do think that fucking her is a little bit of a balancing act. Like, Kit mentioned this. She's so vain and haughty that even the slightest suggestion that anything she's doing is less than sublime, and she'll get pouty at best or violent at worst. But, you know, just keep the compliments coming and you will have a very, very good time. Annie, you are number 9.
It's Fing Fang Foom. Fin Fang Foom. I always add an extra G in there. Look, big monster who is a space alien who can cook dinner for me afterwards. Like, yeah, I will make that. That is the size difference that works for me. Even if he does seem like he might be some kind of never nude with those big purple shorts he wears all the time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Bob, you're number 9?
Speaking of size difference, Mushu. He lies about what he's capable of and then cries about it. It's charming. And that's not nothing. But we'd have to have a serious talk about this need to lie because that's going to be cute exactly once. However, he's going to be a killer brunch buddy for the morning after.
Does make breakfast.
He does make fucking breakfast.
And it smiles at you.
It does.
All right, those were our 9s. Now on to number 8s. I will start. My number 8 is Villain Trentonmirth. What I realized making this list is that a lot of the characters here are defined and differentiated by where they fit on the spectrum of human-like to inhuman. And, old Borch, he fills a very interesting space in that spectrum where...
No, sorry. Every time I hear the word Borch, it kills me.
Yeah,
it kills
absolutely.
me. I apologize.
Borch is a sound effect.
Oh, we're going to get to that and let's unpack that. Put a fucking
All
pin in
right,
that.
terrific. Anyway, as I was saying, he fills a very interesting space on that spectrum of human to inhuman, where like You know, he's still powerful, he's still draconic, but he's spent so much time around humans and he likes them so much that he understands them and connects with them, like, very deeply. Like, he'll enjoy being with you in a way that not a lot of the other characters on this list will, and not as a figure to be worshipped, but as this connection that you make with someone who's just, like, of a very different background from you. You know, there are fucks on this list that are going to be more world-shaking, but there's this warmth and genuineness to him that I think you're wrong to overlook.
Dan, funny you mentioned him.
Uh-huh.
Because he's my number 8.
Interesting.
My number 8.
All right.
This is a tough one. I mean, Phil and Trenton Mirth, he's a shapeshifter. He's got a thing for humans, like you said. He seems down for a good old time. And birds. You know? Birds. But for some reason, he doesn't excite me. And it's not because he's a Peepums. That's only in the TV show. I'm leaving the Peepums version for Bob. Like,
Thank you.
when I crunch the numbers, he's got good fuckability. But he's missing something, that je ne sais comme, if you will. And this is the highest I can place him. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Je ne sais comme that's the shirt. That is the shirt.
Annie, who is your number 8?
It's Chromie. I love Chromie.
No.
The advantage of having sex with a dragon who can manipulate time itself is that she can basically play you like a VCR. She can stretch out your orgasm at the height of its power so long you pass out.
Oh.
Sure. She can do some quick rewind so you can come as many times as you like. Oh, she can do that too. The downside is that, well, she also is someone who says, you know, hey, let's redo the calling of Strathholm so that the infinite dragonflight doesn't trick Arthas. And now let's make sure that he does burn up an entire town of innocents at the pivotal moment in his descent into madness and eventual crowning as the Lich King, one of Azeroth's greatest monsters, because that's protecting the time stream.
Oof.
And I feel like maybe Chromie would be very unforgiving in that light if the sex was bad. For whatever reason, she would be like, let's go through that again. And no, you can't change anything. It has to say bad again forever. And that's hard to get around.
That's rough, dude. That's real rough. All right, Bob, your number 8.
Shenron. He seems like kind of a dweeb. Like, am I allowed to say that about a huge magical dragon that grants wishes? He seems like he would let me wrap him around my finger, which is not nothing. But when it comes to sex, I want to be wrapped around someone's finger, not the other way around. So this is going to be kind of a 2 subs looking for a dom kind of situation.
Yeah.
I guess that's what Lord Barris is for. Barris, whatever the fucking cat man. I'll be honest, I watched exactly 1 clip of this show, and while it did make me more likely to watch it, it also did make me go, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's correct.
Chala head chala.
All right, on to our number 7s. Annie, would you be so kind as to start us off?
My number 7 is Smaug. So, like, look, okay. First off, this dragon is the definition of covetous, and whomst among us would not like to be the object that is coveted.
Mm-hmm.
And also just, like, look, Kitty Cat Smaug, like, from the cartoon, or Benny Toot Cumberbund Smaug from the movies, I think we can all agree on one thing. What if you fuck the secret weak spot on the belly, though? What if you got a dildo called Bard's Arrow and pegged the weak spot on the belly? What if you fucked a dragon to death?
I've never had a sexual experience that directly resulted in me leveling up 3 times, but I guess that's what you're going for. So more power to you.
Hey, doll, marry doll, everybody.
I guess.
Oh my fucking God, Annie. Jesus Christ, you're a fucking gem.
It's been a long time since I've been surprised on this show. Gotta say. Thanks, Annie. Keeping it fresh.
I'm happy to be here.
Bob, you're number 7.
Dragon. This bitch is so fucking horny. She's so goddamn horny and lonely that she sees a donkey that can't shut the fuck up. And she's like, gimme. You know what? I'm not going to say I've never been there. And there's something freeing about being with someone who isn't holding back their thirst level. But also, she's going to catch feelings. And she's going to be so mad at me when I'm not into her like that. Yeah. Which is weirdly hot. I've never had a crazy stalker ex, but if I'm gonna have a crazy stalker ex, I'd prefer that it be a hot lady dragon that somehow has lipstick.
Yep.
Kit, who is your number 7?
Shyvana from League of Legends. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Oh, hey. I unlocked a new skin. Oh, mommy. Yeah, she seems pretty straightforward. Maybe she'll get more depth if they ever put her into Arcane. But until then, if you want to sub for a dragon woman, and I do, you'll have a great time.
That just leaves me, and my number 7 is Bahamut. Bahamut carries you to the giant, opulent bedroom in his lair, then looks at you with his glowing eyes. You have attracted my attention, mortal. But if you want to harness the full might of my sexual power, you must first prove yourself to me. He then gestures entirely unsubtly toward his junk. The resulting fuck is, indeed, pretty incredible. But it's hard not to feel somewhat demeaned by the whole situation. And the thing is, just like Bahamut in pretty much every Final Fantasy game since the early 90s, while he may claim to be the most powerfully sexual dude around, you're inevitably going to find out that there's at least 1 or 2 people who are even better than him. Moving on now to our number 6. Meganbob, who is your number 6?
Fin Fang Foom. He is so goddamn cute. And it's going to take everything in my power not to call him cute. And he's going to hate it. Actually, you know what? No, I'm definitely going to call him cute. That's right. That's right, Fin Fang Foom. Just try to punish me. Punish me with that dick, you coward.
My number 6 is Shyvana.
Wow, I was expecting higher for you.
Yeah. See, this is what I was hoping for with Armand. Like, you still get the hot, tormented, lonely monster that only you can see the beauty in, but from a person who's actually been out in the world, who knows what she wants, even though she's been too afraid to ask for it or pursue it, and who, once she's past her own sense of insecurity, will pin you down with draconic strength and ride you senseless out of a heady mix of love, lust, affection, gratitude, and relief. It's the best.
Sometimes we get to find out who Dan's real number 1 is, and it's very fun.
Oh, but we're still 5 slots away from my number 1.
No. But like, if you weren't making the list from an objective standpoint.
Oh, I see. I see. If I didn't have my hard choices hat on. Ooh, that's a good question.
Shyvana.
Anyway,
It's Shyvana.
I'll think about that.
I married you. I know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, you're right. Kit, who is your number 6?
Big feels. Shenron from Dragon Ball.
Hit me.
Here's the thing. I don't think Shenron's gonna fuck you unless you wish for it. He would rather be sleeping, which, fair. Now, at least Shenron is like a Jinny without malicious intent. You still have to word your wish well, but Shenron might actually advise you if your wish seems like a bad idea or impractical. So, if this is really the wish you want, then make sure you word your wish well so you can get the best, freakiest sex with this dragon you can possibly imagine. Once Shenron's emptied his own Dragon Balls, he will disappear. But maybe the sex was so good, you immediately return to looking for the 7 Dragon Balls all over again.
Wow. And Annie, your number 6.
Oh my gosh. Kit. I'm very glad we're friends because mine is also Shenron and it's also a big feels.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shenron loves to be of service. He literally makes your wishes come true. But he also makes you work for it. All the time. If you want to wish for the best digging down of your entire life, you have to track down all 7 Dragon Balls, and sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes there's just a weird little monkey boy who's got one. And sometimes there's a whole goddamn army that has them. Sometimes you have to deal with a weird pervert to get the balls, and there are so many weird perverts who come into contact with the Dragon Balls all the time. Yeah. And then once you finally have your big life-changing adventure, and you've gathered a bunch of friends, aliens, and/or animals turned besties, and you fully reenacted Journey to the West, then you can summon Shenron and wish to get your back blown out by a giant dragon. And then you get it. And it's probably the best sex you're ever going to have in your entire life. But then, oh my god, Shenron isn't going to be ready for round 2 for an entire goddamn year. At which point, you got to go through this entire fucking ball hunt again. So you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Or do you want to just, like, go to Namek and see Shenron, but he never skips arm day and get your back blown out 3 times? But it's just, the reason Shenron's not higher in my list is that you have to make sure that it is worth it. And if it's not, maybe you're better off wishing to be young and hot forever. And then you find a grumpy short king who blows up planets and loves getting pegged. Which, it worked for Bulma.
Yeah.
All right. Top 5, y'all. Kit, start us off. Who is your number 5?
Chromie from World of Warcraft. Tiny, charismatic girl who can turn into a big dragon and has probably fucked me in multiple timelines, so already knows what I'm into? Happy belated birthday to me.
Annie, your number 5?
Okay, so I'll preface this by saying that I pretty much just read wiki summaries. I haven't really encountered this guy in his natural environment, so it's Seath.
Aha.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, good for you. Good for
so
you.
I look up this guy, and my main takeaways are, 1, albino, born without scales, probably means it's like petting a hairless cat, like that kind of velvety texture.
Yeah.
He loves books. Loves books a little too much. Driven mad by his search for immortality, which the whomst among us canonically fucks. Canonically has interspecies sex. Into experimenting, which could really work in my favor. But my sticking points are, I can't tell if he's got a ding-dong. Because that character model seems like it's kind of cut off at the torso. And there's just kind of like a little orb with like some spikes on it. I don't know. And he's also like, he seems like he's really, really into the healing power of crystals. And if we bang, even if it's cool and like, I don't know, maybe I could turn into some kind of squid or something. I don't know. But he might try to sell me some overpriced rocks at the end. And he's like really, really white. So then he's going to start talking about aligning his chi.
Oh, no.
And it's going to get embarrassing.
My number 5 is Shenron.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Shenron is very promising as a sexual partner, as someone who, is capable of granting just about any wish you have. You're going to be able to have just about whatever sexual experience that you want. And, Kit mentioned, he's not one of those tricky, malevolent genies who intentionally twists the wording of the wish. He wants you to have a good time too. What keeps him from being in the absolute stratosphere of this list is that, number 1, I don't see him as being especially libidinous. So even if he's into you, I don't think he's going to be like thirsty for you. And number 2, while getting to have pretty much any sexual wish fulfilled is absolutely nothing to sneeze at, like having those wishes granted immediately with no real like friction in the process, like I think it would end up getting boring pretty quickly. Although, Annie, you do make a great point that it is a giant pain in the ass to even get to that, that stage in the first place. So
it's got to be worth it.
Absolutely. Okay, Bob, your number 5.
Bahamut. In this situation, I'm presuming that I've proved myself worthy, which is, on the one hand, a good thing, because I guess it's good that he has standards. On the other hand, bitch, you dare judge me? I will burn you to the ground where you stand, you arrogant motherfucker. So I guess the sex would be me trying to make him regret the fact that I will absolutely never call him back, which I like to call prevenge sex. I know, Bahamut, you thought you were the one with the power, who had it all figured out. You fool. You rube. You utter simpleton. You will learn your folly when I leave you on red. Actually, this is hot as fuck. Get wrecked, asshole.
All right, moving on to number 4s. I will start off. My number 4 is Dragon. The first Shrek movie depicts Dragon as basically a lonely, horny woman with a secret but extremely powerful praise kink. All it is going to take is for you to compliment her eyes or her scales or anything else about her, and she's going to immediately carry you off to her lair and fuck you into unconsciousness. Yay! Meganbob, your number 4.
Big feels, villain Trenton Mirth, of course.
Of course.
Naturally.
A sad dragon, Peepums. Are you fucking kidding me? I saw him on the show, and even though his name was goddamn Borge, I was like, yeah, I'd fuck this dude. And that was before he was a dragon. The moment I found out he was a dragon, I was like, oh, my pussy can detect dragons? Which on the basis of a single sample size is maybe not how science works. But nevertheless, I feel empowered. Not every charming old man with a twinkle in his eye is a dragon daddy. But statistically, some of them will be, which is good enough for me. Oh, also the sex. It's going to be pretty good, but I really think he fucks like he loves you and cares about you, but he is watching someone learn to ride a bike as far as his relationship to sex is concerned. He's been fucking for millennia. Nothing I do will impress him, which on the one hand, boo. On the other hand, he probably knows 7 ways to make me scream so hard I'm hoarse the next day, which mostly makes up for that.
Annie, your number 4.
My number 4 is Bahamut, who's honestly, he's kind of a difficult one to pin down for me because there's been 20 different Bahamuts, which, by the way, makes me sad because I can't internally pluralize that the way I like to. The Bahasmut. But it's he's always a summon, so design changes pretty frequently. The characterization isn't always there to get a sense of what fucking him might be like, but the one that I've spent the most time with is the Final Fantasy X iteration, who's got that, bipedal but situationally quadrupedal thing going on, plus that wheelie dealy in the back, and I'm into it. He's got the little wheel, and
He's so beautiful.
and I realized that as I was looking at this, there is a large amount of key art for this guy where he's crossing his arms imperiously. And
That's just how he stands in battle.
Yeah.
that's just how he do, and I like the attitude. It kind of reminds me of the interesting time that I had playing Ring Fit Adventure over the pandemic with the buff workout dragon who's obsessed with you and works out at you with those bulging muscles and deep squats and powerful hips. And I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just saying that I think I want Final Fantasy X Bahamut to work out threateningly at me, and I'll figure the rest out. It's fine. It's fine. I'm doing good. I'm fine.
Annie, we could have included that workout dragon on this list.
I guess we could.
You deserve a little treat.
The problem is that he's got that awful head.
I mean, not worse than HR.
You know what? You make a compelling argument.
Kit, who is your number 4?
Smaug from The Hobbit. Why no, Smaug the Magnificent. I didn't sneak in to steal your horde. No, I came to join it.
Ooh.
I truly feel like that's what it would take to keep Smaug from eating you. Basically just become one of his treasures. It would involve you indulging in his pet play and worship kinks, surely, for the rest of your life. But I can think of worse ways to come.
All right. Top 3, y'all. Annie, who is your number 3?
Shyvana. She's a shapeshifter. I love that. It means that you can sort of get some of that variety. Big, strong lady. Hi, hello, big, strong lady. Plus, very big dragon who is actually a wyvern. I cannot let go of this. And I mean, fuck, I'm gay. I mean, she's a big, strong lady in scantily clad armor. I am bisexual, and she's a knight and a dragon. That's 2 archetypes in one. That's like the protective knight who just wants to protect you and is afraid to hurt you and just wants to treat you like a treasure, and also dragon. Like, this is the monster who is afraid of hurting you, fuck. Like, where the monster wants to protect you and keep you safe, and you get to demand the monster fuck you without holding back, and then they do, and then they transform mid-coitus, and your entire crotch is wrecked for a week, but it is worth it.
Oh, God. I was with you to the very end.
It's fine, there's magic, it's whatever.
Yeah. Oh, God, I suppose. Yeah, get that healer over here. Shit.
Yeah, it's fine, Don't worry about it.
All right, Kit, you're number 3.
Big feels. Fin Fang Boom from Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Ah, the shapeshifter. Always such an advantage. That power. Though I'm a bit of a size monarch when it comes to the monster fucks, it is nice when stuff can actually, fit. And as a bonus, a really big bonus, he can make you delicious breakfast. Get you a man that can get as big as you want and cook. The downside to Mr. Foom, though, is that he's always being pulled into some bullshit by other Marvel characters. You might come down with a craving for that Goldilocks monster dick and waffles, but he doesn't answer your texts because some motherfucker threw his ass to the moon or some shit. Fuck you, Bruce Banner.
Mr. Foom.
My number 3 is also Fin Fang Foom.
Hey!
Okay, so this guy has the kind of emotional turmoil I can get into. He used to be a bad guy, but recently he's found Buddhism and he's legitimately trying to be a better person. All that stuff is great. But let me get into the really appealing shit that has nothing to do with who he is as a person. So, with sex between a human and a dragon, as Kit alluded to, one of the first questions you have to ask is, how is this going to work? And obviously, there are options available, even with the greatest of size and shape differences, but it does help when the dragon can shapeshift, as Fin Fang Foom can. But he also has the ability to transmogrify other beings. So if you've ever wanted to do a dragon fuck, as a dragon, with another dragon, you should bookmark the F section in your contacts list, because this guy has you covered.
Whoa, shit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, buddy.
I think I might have to move him up.
Yeah, that's good.
Fuck.
All right, Bob, you are number 3.
Draco. The first time I ever cried in a movie theater,
Yay!
and one of the only times I ever cried in a movie theater. You know what? I'm not going to tell you about this dragon fuck because I'm not going to cry during my horny podcast. But it's one of those times when you're very lucky and you feel something inside you that you thought was gone or broken or dormant forever, and you feel it come back to life, and you feel a little more whole than you did before because someone took the time to care about you in the ways that are hard to do. Fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Annie, who is your number 2?
Draco.
Mm-hmm.
Look, this is a husband, okay?
Yeah.
You play marry, fuck, slay with all these dragons. Draco is the one you marry.
Yep.
I mean, he's got the Sean Connery voice, which is great. He's been around a while, so he's not going to be inexperienced, but he's the guy who's never been with a human before, and suddenly this great, powerful, ancient creature is a little shy. Because he doesn't really know what he's doing, and he doesn't want to break you, and he's never cared like this. Because he may only have half a heart, but you make it beat twice as fast.
No.
Amazing.
You don't fuck this dragon. You make love to him, and you guide him every step of the way, and afterwards you lie on his chest as you watch the stars together, and his deep voice rumbles through his scales as he tells you stories. This is a husband. This is the one you marry forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
Bob, it looks like you're not getting away from crying in this episode after all, despite all your best
No.
efforts.
Oh my God, laying on his tummy while you look at the stars.
Yeah. He'll tell you about all the dragons that are up there in the constellations.
Oh my God, I forgot about that part.
I'm not sorry.
Welp, surprising no one. My number 2 is also Draco.
Could have guessed.
I think he's like all the appeal of Bahamut, except he'll actually take care of you. And he won't unsummon. Because let's be honest now, that we're all almost done with our lists. Most dragons are going to give you roughly the same thing physically, so it's what's inside that counts. And we know what's inside Draco. His heart that he can give you a piece of so that you're bonded forever. That is so fucking romantic.
Yeah.
The downsides are that
Holy
he's also
shit.
bonded to evil David Thulis, and his breath canonically reeks of rotting meat. Oh, but he's perfect. Very anyway.
My number 2 is Chromie. A lot of the appeal, and we've litigated this multiple times in this episode, but a lot of the appeal of fucking a dragon is getting to experience sex with a being who's so much greater and stronger and more powerful than you. You know, the type of sex that's just borderline overwhelming, or sometimes like well past the point of being overwhelming. But Chromie is one of the few dragons who is empathetic and emotionally intelligent enough to know exactly how far she can take a sexual experience. You know, when she can cut loose with all that draconic power and sexuality, and when she needs to pull back. I think the sex with her is good, if not great, but what pushes her into the upper echelons of this list is her aftercare. Like, she's thoughtful and conscientious, and she's very interested in you having a good time, but she doesn't get hung up on it, right? Like, it doesn't hold her back from doing exactly what she wants to do. Also, I made a giant list of all the stuff she can do with time magic. Annie covered a lot of it, so I will let that stand, but it is potent stuff.
Oh, I do want to hear more of this one.
Oh, it's buddy. We have options. All right, Bob, your number 2.
Smaug. This fucking shitty little bitch. I am in love. Look, I'm very basic, like sickeningly basic. I mean, like everybody here, I just want to be in the horde.
Yeah.
The feeling of having someone destroy things in order to have you, and then destroy things in order to take you the way that they want to. To quote Lizzo, oh hell no, you can't get that at the store. Is it healthy? I'm not sure I'm in the position to care. And that position is on all fours, stuffed full of dragon dick.
All right, everyone. The end of the list. The number 1.
Oh, man.
Kit, who's at the top of your list?
I'm already eyeing Annie over there. We're gonna Eiffel Tower this fucker. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's Arman from I Am Dragon. Oh, the motherland, Russia. My people have given us a good thing for once. Virgin. Gimme. I know virgins are most people's cup of tea, and I totally get why. But he's so sad and hates himself, and at any moment, he could lose control and turn into a monster that only wants to turn me into ash. Okay, yeah, I hear myself. I'm sure there's like lots of folks who still don't get it. Like, I'm trying to convince you that blue cheese is delicious. It is delicious, but I can't convince you that it is if you don't have the nasty palate for it. But Kit, how does he fuck? I hear you ask, reminding me of the whole premise of the show. Fine. He fucks like blue cheese tastes.
Oh.
Yum.
Okay.
You are only solidifying my decision
No,
more.
Yum.
but you know what? I get it now. I so get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Annie, is there anything you would like to contribute at this juncture?
Do you want me to just go through my whole thing?
Please do.
Great. Armand, round 2. Hi. Hi, hello. Do you know what we love here? Do you know what we adore? It is a big monster who, yes, what is it? Say it with me. He's secretly sad.
Yeah.
He's secretly sad. The dragon is a manifestation of his self-loathing and despair. He can't control himself until he learns to see himself through the eyes of someone who loves him. Look, the whole thing here, the way in which Armand is shown to be truly accepting of himself, it's the fact that his wife literally rides him.
Yeah.
I will ride this dragon to teach him radical self-acceptance. God. And the thing about the version is that he is moldable clay. He is unplowed snow. How does he fuck? He fucks however you teach him to fuck you specifically. This is a dragon who will fight and spit and scratch until you straddle him and sink down on top of him. And as soon as that hilt is against you, you tell the dragon how beautiful he is and how much you love him. And then that dragon is crying while you ride him into orgasm. Okay, maybe that part's a little weird, but look. Also, hello, the dragon is summoned by singing. Yes, hello, Disney princess style booty call. I just open my mouth and sing into the void with the most beautiful, melodic, you up text of all time. And suddenly I'm whisked away to a lushly decorated cliffside and get to fuck my new dragon husband. Yes, I am here for this.
I assume you have to sing the song in Russian, and boy, is that language really hard to pronounce, but
Worth it, though.
Worth it.
Honestly.
Worth it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. My number one is my last big feels. And it's Tiamat.
Oh,
Okay.
my
Hell
fucking
yeah.
God.
What the fuck?
A dragon, goddess, queen, with a giant harem of other dragons willing to jump at the chance to get into bed with her, who shapeshifts regularly, who has, one would imagine, hundreds of thousands of mortals at her beck and call, a mountain of magic items, who knows how to use and manipulate people, but who is also passionate and raw. And she, per the rules of this show, is into me. I don't care how much reverence and supplication she's going to demand from me. She can have it. You want me to go punch Elminster in the dick for you? I'll do it, baby. And I'll do it gladly. Because I know what you can do with all 5 of those mouths of yours. I know what your godly magic and draconic strength and majestic royal hunger is going to result in when the lights go down and the clothes come off. And it's highly likely to leave me a flattened, empty corpse at the end of it. But if I'm going to die, it's going to be with a huge smile on my face.
Wow, I think Dan's the Bob of this episode.
Yeah, you are.
Look what you've done, Bob.
I mean, I'm
So proud, I hope.
I am extremely proud.
I mean, unless we haven't heard what your one is. Maybe you're the Bob of this episode.
No,
Let's hear it. Who's your number one, Bob?
Parthenax.
Yes,
Who
that's
wants
right.
to hear about how much I like monastic communities?
Yes, please, yes.
This is the monkest monk that ever monked, and he's been monking around for IDK a long time, probs. And here he is committed to making the world a less shitty place by being a less shitty person. I ask you to look inside yourself now and ask, is it not work to be a less shitty person? Because I can tell you that it fucking is. This dragon is doing the hardest work imaginable, the work on yourself. This dragon goes to fucking therapy. Except he can't go to therapy because there isn't therapy yet. There's only meditation, apparently. Parthenax probably invented dialectical behavioral therapy long before any of us knew what washing your hands with soap was. This dragon is the pinnacle of commitment to working on himself. Do you know what kind of sex that is? That's sex with someone you can count on to show up, be intentional, communicate thoughtfully with you, and be honest about their own limitations. That's huge. That's not necessarily the hottest sex, but it is definitely the realest sex. But also, sometimes the real sex is a fuck of a lot more spectacular than hot sex is. I am sorry to tell you, children, getting to your 30s and 40s, you learn things about the world.
Well, we have ourselves a giant pile of draconic treasure in front of us that we've gathered. We're going to start sorting this into, some sort of order that we can make sense of. But while that is happening, let's take a minute and unpack some things, shall we?
I got something.
Do it.
Borch! Okay, so obviously that is a comic book noise.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is it? So you see the word Borch written out in the comic book. What is happening that makes the sound Borch?
I mean, he might make the sound borch. Borch!
It's the sound of something breaking due to an accident. So maybe his peepum's back could make the borch sound.
Oh.
Or furniture during sex.
Yeah, absolutely wooden furniture, because the ch makes you think of like splintering wood.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I'm getting in terms of like SFX on like a comic book page, I'm getting kind of a green feel for borch. What about you guys?
Interesting. I was seeing something in the blue to purple range.
Blue too.
Yeah.
But definitely it's a cool tone kind of sound
Yeah, it's definitely
effect.
cool. I will say, I think the sound effect borch, and this may be because I read, Greg Pak's run on Hercules. But I think the sound effect borch is when a birch tree falls on a porch.
Oh my fucking god!
Okay. I guess, yeah.
Bob, I have something I'd like for you to unpack for me.
Okay.
So you said you don't want to be in a position where you have to explain to Chromie how human bodies work.
Yeah.
But I remember in the Mass Effect episode, the fantasy you presented of Garrus was of you stripping naked. He looks at your body and says, "Buddy, I have no idea where to start." But Garrus was incredibly high on your list. He might have been number one. I honestly don't remember.
Okay, but he's Garrus Vicarian though, okay?
Yeah.
Sure. So what is the difference? What about one situation is appealing and the other is not?
I would say that the Garrus fuck is a best friend fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you've had this really long relationship and you know each other, but then but you don't know each other this way.
Now, what is stopping you from having that relationship with Chromie? Is it just because you don't know Warcraft as well as you know Mass Effect, and therefore you just kind of come into this situation with a different conception of these characters?
It's more that I went through the Mass Effect one kind of presuming I was Shepard to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like myself, but also Shepard.
Sure.
And so I had Shepard's relationship. Basically, the way that Neil plays it is okay, those are the decisions I've made. With Chromie, I was thinking of one night stand we meet at a bar. And so then I'm sort of in this oh wow, I didn't know it was going to be that kind of situation. Okay, that's that makes it different, I guess, to not have a pre-existing relationship, to kind of fall back on the awkwardness by just being buds.
Yeah. The friendship creates a safety net where awkwardness is not just permitted, but is charming.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I can see that.
I have a question for the table.
Oh,
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay, so when I was doing my list, I found it was an interesting challenge with this one because it felt like typically I would say there is one character who fits the sort of the qualifications of a dragon that you fuck. And that tends to be the unique thing around which I might base my sort of my whole ranking in a list. But when they all are the dragon fuck, how did you guys approach that in terms of figuring out, okay, so that's just the baseline, what do I do now?
Well, I mean, do they have some? What else do they bring to the table? Is one of the things. What's their personality? How is there danger? Is the danger worth it? You know.
And also, like, in what way do they leverage their draconicness, right? Is it like, are they just like big monsters? Are they intelligent? Can they use magic? Can they shapeshift? Would they use those abilities in interesting ways? You know, like it's a little bit like when we did the Nicolas Cage episode. You know, a Nicolas Cage character thrown into any other list would be like wildly off the mark, you know, would be in a universe of his own in comparison to any other like randomly selected group of characters. But like when everyone is a Nick Cage, it's like everything is kind of calibrated differently, you know? It's like, yeah, you pick any one of these dragons and throw them onto a random list, they're gonna like take up a lot of room. I mean, you know, appropriately enough, I guess. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, I think when you kind of zero that out, like you're left with a more, you got to dig a little deeper. You know, it's not enough to just be a big old lizard. You're like, okay, but what are you doing for me lately? You know?
Yeah, I definitely was going off of, as I often do, was like quotes. Cause normally, like you, I could go, well, you know, he's a big dragon. But this was like, well, but they're all big dragons for the most part. So what is their personality?
Sometimes the size actually was a problem. I hate that I discovered this about myself, but giant dick is a little more appealing to me than giant pussy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The logistics are different.
Yes. And honestly, I don't know. I think there's something about maybe media just shows you giant dick more. You know, maybe it's
and so you have an understanding of the erotic appeal of such a thing.
Yeah, I think modern media might be more obsessed with displays of huge cock than it would be of big powerful pussy. Dude.
Yeah. That doesn't sound right to me. I don't think that's true. It also kind of comes back to a discussion we had during the Hanna-Barbera bad choices when we were talking about the character of Inch High. We were saying like, is a tiny man going to work on your clit appealing? And like the answer was no. Like there's like there's not much that he can do, you know? And so by that same, you know, thought, it's like, what am I, a tiny person, going to do to this giant dragon clit? It's like probably not a lot. Like
what are you
I'm gonna give it my best, but like, you know.
What are you I've had to imagine, what am I going to do to a dick that's as big as I am or much bigger?
But that's all friction. That's easy.
I've got to do a lot of pole work, and hopefully the dragon's just into the tininess, or else nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, because with like a giant pussy, you're talking about like, it's that old like joke about like, oh, someone's so slutty. They're just so stretched out, where it's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. But that's literally what it would be like with a gigantic dragon pussy, and you have to be prepared for that.
I don't. So okay, here's my rebuttal.
Oh, really? Okay.
The vagina's so tight.
Oh,
I think the muscles of a creature that large would just hurt you.
That's a good point.
If you tried going inside,
really hurt you. And if you put a dick in there, you're going like this.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, you're done. You're just like, bloop, oh, that came.
Yeah.
That was so tight.
Yeah.
Or it's gone. Maybe it just keeps
or you're just gone.
The dick.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks you in. No, but that's somebody's king.
That's a good point.
I'm sure that's how some people want to go.
Yeah.
God bless them.
We all got to die somehow, you know?
I was really curious which of the dragons on this list. So a lot of these dragons are old, balls old, real old. Which of these dragons are the most likely to be like, oh yeah, and tell you some made up bullshit about the past and like completely try to get you to believe something that isn't true. And then whenever you're like, no, and then they like, no, that's true. And then they tell you a little more until the point where you go like, geez, did they really? And then they're like, no, of fucking course they did. What the fuck are you thinking? Like, who's that dragon on the list?
Fucking Borch.
Borch. You think that's definitely Borch? I don't know. I feel like Fin Fang Foom would have like some scope for just going like, fucking idiot. No, of course that didn't
Fin
happen.
Fang Foom does have the advantage of also just being an incredibly improbable origin story.
Yeah. I'm actually going to say Falcor, but but he does it with the energy of like, but he thinks it's charming, right?
Oh, sure.
He,
Yeah.
he thinks he's avuncular in that way.
Yeah.
You know, he's
no,
just,
so he thinks he's teaching you, not to believe everything you hear or some shit. like
exactly.
that.
And then when he reveals it, he sort of like chuckles and, like raises a knowing eyebrow at you. And he's just like, that's right. I'm just that clever,
No, I got it, y'all.
Yeah.
It's Hiram. He's a fucking liar. Of course it's Hiram.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
Hiram.
politician.
Get 5 lies at once from that dude.
I wanna get into this wyvern thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I believe dragon is a really big umbrella, under which you may classify wyvern. I also feel like wyverns are very specific, and it's not just that they have 2 legs, 2 wings. I always see them as traditionally also having the scorpion tail thingy.
Yeah. The tail is a big thing that kind of gets like ditched by the wayside.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I feel like it's kind of like a square and a rectangle where like wyverns can be classified as dragons, I guess, but dragons aren't wyverns.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
what the fuck's a drake?
Drake,
They don't have wings.
yeah.
No way. No
they're
way.
like-
It's just
I've seen drakes with wings. My usual
like
thought
that.
about a drake is that they're not human level intelligent.
No. I think a dragon doesn't have to be like really smart.
I think drakes might also be like a size thing, like compared
Yeah, drakes
to
are usually smaller.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you have like your traditional European like 4-legged dragon, then your drake is usually like almost a nymph form of that with yeah.
Yeah, because all the drakes in Magic the Gathering have wings.
I don't
all the
agree
drakes
with
in
that.
Dark, like all the drakes in Dark Souls have wings.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
agree with that. I like D&D's drakes. Like they're just like little quadrupedal, no winged dragon guys. I don't remember if they're smart or not, but I don't think of intelligence as a thing for dragons because you really see the whole range of like intelligence with dragons throughout like history and media.
Okay, Mushu, not necessarily the greatest fuck, but Mushu as a wingman to like hype you up.
Oh.
So you go like, because I mean, was not Mushu Mulan's winged dragon in so many
Only
ways?
towards the end of the movie when he's gotten over himself, though. It has to be
Yeah,
at
that's
that
true.
point because that's his whole struggle in the rest of the movie is being like the guy who gets to take credit for everything. But once he gets over that, I could see it.
Here's my thing. So I feel like when Mushu tries to help Mulan, specifically in the first part of the movie, like most of what he tries to do doesn't work, and doesn't work in such a way that Mulan herself has to get over herself in order to like make up for this deficit that Mushu has introduced into her life. And so like if the game was in you all along, like if you were always like
The
if you always
Riz?
had the ability inside you to pick someone up, having Mushu with you, like and seeing him making things worse will like spur you into action, right? Like you'll be like,
Wow.
oh no, I have to step in and do this before Mushu makes it just a complete disaster. So an unintentionally good wingman for a specific type of person, but you already kind of have to be like capable of crossing the finish line on your own for him to help,
And I mean, at
Okay.
the end of the day, you do get to bang bisexual icon Li Shang.
True.
Yeah,
I mean,
you do.
that's the dream. That's the dream.
Let's get it.
All right, let's take a look at this list, see how everything shook out. At the bottom, at number 21, is HR Puffin stuff, and honestly, that seems high for him. Wish he could go lower. Next up, at number 20, is Seath the Scaleless, more than fair. Number 19 is Hiram McDaniels. Number 18 is Falcor. In a two-way tie for 17 are Elliot and Trogdor.
Wow.
Power couple.
Wow.
Our two nonverbals.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
We have another tie for 15th place between Ridley and Saphira.
Oh,
no.
shit. She's going to kill him.
He's going to get his ass blown
Yeah.
to dust again.
Wow.
He just can't stay away from women who can kick his ass. At number 13, we have Tiamat, which, my queen, I don't care what these heretics
She's
say.
even the
That's-
unlucky number.
Oh,
Yeah,
Dan, that's so
all right.
fucking wild. Anyway, talk about it after the show.
you missed your chance to unpack it. Now you'll never know. Coming in at number 12, we have Mushu. At number 11 is Dragon. One slot above the Eddie Murphy character, which seems appropriate. Number 10 is Parthenax. At number 9 is Villain Trentonmirth. I keep slipping an extra N in there. Villain Trentonmirth. Anyway,
It's almost as though there's too many consonants.
it's Borch. Borch is number 9. We have a two-way tie for 8th place between Arman and Shyvana, the two sad dragons who
Hey.
feel all conflicted about who they are.
Maybe they can
that's
fix
good.
each other.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't think they will, but it's nice to think that.
No. No, they need me and Annie.
They do though. It's the mask and the femme version.
Yeah. Pick your poison of sad, secretly sad, lonely monster. Number 6, we have Chromie. We have a two-way tie for 5th place between Bahamut and Shenron, which, like,
Oh,
what a horrifying couple that is.
god dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they both need to be summoned.
they sure do.
Oh my god. They're
got a lot to talk
totally
about.
Yeah.
totally boning down and wherever they go when they're unsummoned.
Yep.
Yep.
At number 3, we have Smaug.
Yeah.
Feels good. He's still gotta work. He's gotta work for the higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Spent 2 centuries sleeping on Treasure Man. You gotta really work if you want to hit the upper echelon. Speaking of, at number 2 we have Fin Fang Foom, and number 1 is Draco, which I think
I mean,
any one
Yeah.
of us could have predicted.
Yeah. Yep.
Draco's
Yeah.
the best. I love
And that
Draco.
means our median, appropriately enough, is Dragon.
Oh no.
Who's the median dragon? Why, it's Dragon, of course.
Oh my
she
god, our
doesn't even
system
get a real
works.
name.
Yep. Apparently, Elizabeth is what some people think her name is, thanks to one throwaway line from Donkey in one of the Shrek
Okay,
movies.
the deep Shrek lore, sure.
Yeah, there's a reason we kept her name as Dragon on this list.
We're doing Shrek
Oh,
bad
Oh,
choices.
God.
goodness gracious.
No, it's going to be awful. Shrek bad choices is going to be fucking sane.
A lot
like-
of just self-loathing.
That's such a good pick for bad choices.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get absinthe for that episode. Like,
It's the right color.
Even if you're not in it, Dan, you're just gonna fucking
yeah,
drink
even if I'm not
Oh,
watching,
the
like
psychic
knowing that that's
pain
happening.
radiating
Yeah.
from that recording will strike out.
I
Just
mean,
across the country.
are the three of you too cowardly to do it? Is that
Bob, I'll do anything you propose to me
If
in regards
asked,
to
I'll
this show.
be there. But if
Same.
not, I won't feel sad because I love myself.
I only request Puss in Boots if I'm gonna
Oh,
be in
yeah.
it. That's all.
Oh, of course,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're veering into talking about another episode while we're still in the middle of this one. So before we get too off track, what would each of you give give dragons on a scale of 1 to 10 boners?
I mean, weirdly, like a 4. Because
Okay.
a lot of them, I was like, most of you are shit. But I think that they benefit so much by comparison to non-dragons that it's like, it's only in that context that they shine. But if you put a bunch of dragons together, it's like, no. A lot of these dragons I did not want to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the ones I wanted to fuck a lot, but
I feel like for me, it's like a 7 because a lot of these were yeses, even though they were yes with asterisk for me. But
Yeah.
HR puffin stuff brings it down a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I think I'm going to give it a 7 as well. To me, like, fucking a dragon is like listening to music with the volume turned all the way up. Where it's like, if it's a good song, it's great. But if it's a bad song, it fucking sucks. So, yeah, I do think that, like, there's more yeses on this list than there are nos for me, but, like, boy, howdy, is the bottom of this list rough to deal with for me.
Yeah.
Now, this is surprising to me because I'm the one who requested this episode. I literally texted Bob saying, hard choices, dragons win.
Yep.
And I'm going to have to give it a 6. It's less fuckable than I thought. There were more no's for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's weird. It's so weird how that works. Sometimes you're like, because you're so overpoweringly horny for the 5 that you give such a fuck about.
Yeah.
And then
that's
whenever
true.
you start building out the list, you're like, oh, there's a lot of trash out there.
Yeah. Now, Kit, I'm curious, if there are more no's than yeses on your list, why does this get a 6 as opposed to a 5 or less?
Oh, did I do math bad? You're right, I did math bad. I should change
you
that.
can just like them enough.
Yeah, it's true that the ones, the yeses can kind of weigh the scales a little.
The yeses are very strong. Yeah, it doesn't feel right to go lower than 6, but I can't give it more than that. Like,
All right.
My no's start at like, or my like meh starts at like 10.
Yeah.
So it's close.
Okay. All right.
It's close, but.
All right. Well, that leaves us with an average boner rating of 6 exactly.
No.
So I think you nailed it, Kit. All that is left for us to consider this day is, what did we learn here today?
Borch is the funniest sound in the fucking universe.
Yeah, I learned that having a name like Borch doesn't automatically give a no for some people.
Yeah.
I learned that I guess I'm going to devote my life to the cult of Tiamat. And when the world burns at her inevitable return, I'll show you all, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. You're committing to something larger and more important.
Yeah.
I learned that I don't know who my husband is. So we're going to unpack that after the call.
Oh, I did also learn one other thing, and it is that Kit and I are correct to be friends.
Yes!
Yeah.
Is this the first episode with the 4 of us specifically as hosts? Because I think it is.
Is
I don't
it?
think
I
the
think
4
so.
of us have been on an episode together.
I think so.
It might
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. And this is the one to do it, man. Clearly we were all drinking the same water at some point.
Dragon fuckers unite.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man.
All right. Well, with that behind us, all that remains is for us to tell our audience about things that we are involved with. Annie, please share with the world your plugs.
Hello, friends. You can find me on Blue Skies, where I've sort of settled in the dust.
Yeah.
At anniesar.bisky.social. That is where you can find me if you want to find out about all of the podcasty things that I do, like Gem Jammer, our actual Play 5e podcast, that is about Spelljammer and gays in space. And if that hasn't sold you, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You can also find out about I Will Fight You, our podcast that is pop culture yelling and screaming. Very much a sister show
It is.
to Hard Choices. But with more bleeps in the swears. And Jamie Dammit, our video series where we play just terrible Otome games and have a very fun time doing so. That is all available at crookedrussiancam.horse or crookedrussiancam.gay if you're spicy. That's a very good website. And also we do have a Patreon. Give me money as well. Thank you.
Yes. Links
Links are on the website.
I do Garden Plots of Skeletor, or will when it comes back on from
I
hiatus.
know.
But we have a big old back catalog that you can, peruse your way through. in the meantime while you're waiting. I also do want to plug, for the second time, I believe, on this show, Binary Break, which is an actual play RPG podcast that my sister Claire runs. There are a couple of people who have been in Hard Choices who participate in that show, including one, Annie Creighton, and every episode of that show is an absolute delight. Claire is a wonderful GM and is doing a terrific job with the editing so that the episodes actually like sound good to listen to and not just like a bunch of aimless chuckle fucks, I guess, which is what a lot of actual plays are. And also, like, the players are really good too. They're really into their characters. They do great voices. I think the story's great. I can't recommend it highly enough if actual plays are your thing, or if you think they might be, or if you like Digimon, or if you just want to like hear a cool story told by some cool people.
Claire got theme
That's
music for Binary Break. Oh my god.
It rules.
Yeah. It's real good.
Kit, why don't you tell us a random story as is your plug want?
Random story.
Plug
never
a random
random.
verb that you like.
I'm really sorry for not being on the internet very much these past 3 months. I'm not even going to tell you to ask a bird or whatever for my internet handle, because I didn't fucking put anything on the internet. There's no point. But if you want to find me, just walk out into the desert, Sonora Desert particularly. Look for the cactus that like blooms at night, and then just hang out, just wait for the little nectar eating bat to come by. Ask that bat to take you to me. It's gonna be a trek, so make sure you bring your good hiking shoes. You will, if you see me standing in the middle of a summoning circle, do not approach me. Do not approach me. I cannot stress this enough. But if I'm not, then you can come say hi. Come say hi.
You're right, kid. I don't know why I thought you were going to tell a random story.
Because you don't fucking know me. We don't know each other anymore. Tiamat.
I guess.
Tiamat worshiper.
Oh, I love your plugs so much, Kit.
I know. They're so special
They're
to me.
so good.
And I am Meganbob, and I am the creator and, I don't know, executive CEO of Hard Choices Enterprises. You can get delicious bonus content at patreon.com/hardchoices. We just did Bad Choices Hanna-Barbera. And look, it is being, slow roasted and baked into a beautiful podcast for you, but the video replay is available, and wow, it was something really special, as Bad Choices always is, and that's the kind of shit you get access to if you are a patron of Hard Choices, including, guys, we had live bingo cards that you could play during the fucking show. A lot of things happened. A lot of things were said. I was kind of drunk at the time, so I don't fully know what all I said. Annie, Dan, you want to help me out? Anything that you remember from that event?
I'm still kind of reeling from the Dr. Blake conversation.
Oh, that's right. James D'Amato said some unforgivable things about Dr. Blake.
That was really hard to hear.
Oh. Unforgivable.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still completely reevaluating swaths of my life.
We laid hard into Penelope Pitstop, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, we did. I feel a little bad about that. No, it was a fucking event, and we get to talk about fucking Zorak, which is ultimately one of the great joys and chief delights of my life. So if you want to hear me say some pretty terrible things, I think all of us said some pretty terrible things about...
Well, some of those things, Bob, in fairness, were things that you put in our mouths when we did the live reading of your fanfic.
Yeah, you did do that.
Oh my god, that's right. I wrote the fanfic and you guys read it. Oh
read
my
it.
We did.
god.
Yeah.
Fuck. I forgot about that part.
It's a great fanfic.
Man.
It was a good fanfic. It was filthy.
Very
It was
in
very
character,
good.
though.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that you can get if you go on over to patreon.com/hardchoices. That'll also get you into the Hard Choices Discord, which is popping with some weird questions about all kinds of things lately. I've been asking people about whether or not they would rather have teleportation or super speed and things like that. So we've been having some fun over there. But yeah, that's where I hang out. And if you want to hang out with me, that's where you got to go. Because I do not do socials media. It is terrifying and a cursed place.
And with that, I guess we're closing the giant, delicately illustrated book on this episode of Hard Choices, putting it back lovingly on the shelf where we will no doubt be returning to it again as we do all of our dragon books. I don't know what's happening next month. I don't know that we've nailed that down yet. Do you know, Bob? Or are we keeping that up?
I don't want to say that I know for sure because I don't know for sure which way I'm going to jump.
All right. Well, who knows what fate lies in store for us next month? Only the future knows. And you will know in the future when you come back next month for more Hard Choices. But until then, stay hard.
This has been Hard Choices. If you want to show your support and get even more goofs from behind the scenes, visit patreon.com/hard choices and become a patron. You'll get exclusive voting rights and participation in every weird new thing we do. If you like the show, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review on the podcatcher of your choice. It shows people what's fun about the show and makes it easier for others to find it too. This episode produced by Dan Mulcairn. Go listen to Garden Plots with Skeletor. He's a great Skeletor. Our theme song is Funk Me by Soundroll. This piece and all music used in this production is licensed through Uppbeat. You can find details in our show notes and listen to more great tunes at uppbeat.io, spelled UPPBEAT.io. The Hard Choices logo is designed by Claire Mulcairn. If you'd like to get into touch with us, look for the Smash Fiction Fan Faction on Facebook and join the conversation. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. You're a peach!